Take for instance, you are in a protest and your friend gets shot. What would you do? Would you scream? Would you panic? Would you cry? Today, we learn what to do and what not to do in such a situation. Today we are joined with our Mwalimu Andrew, who's going to be telling us what to do and what not to do in such a scenario. We're going to start with gunshot wounds.
Gunshot wounds, what you need to understand is that your safety is what is your priority first. So safety of you, the person who's giving care to your casualty, and then the safety of the casualty. So you need to get the casualty away from danger. So we have simulated a gunshot wound. This is a point of entry. So a gunshot wound causes severe bleeding, as you can see. It causes severe bleeding, especially if it lands in the wrong, in an area that has blood vessels and major blood vessels and such. Okay. So for you, it is to control blood loss. So since he has been injured on the arm, his right arm is working. So don't come into direct contact with his blood. Wacha yeye mwenye ajishikie. So apply pressure, apply direct pressure, kabisa, sawa, and then keep it elevated. Keep it elevated like that. So you've gotten him away from danger. So if you have a piece of cloth, if you have a handkerchief, you can put it there to control the loss of blood. As you keep it elevated so that bleeding may reduce. So with my first aid kit, I'm going to get wound dressing. My wound dressing here, keep it there prepared. Also get my triangular bandage, keep it there prepared, and then I put on my gloves.
Okay.
So as I put on my gloves, put in the thumb first, and the other fingers come in very quickly. I have my other hand, and there we go. So putting on my gloves, the idea is to prevent the possibility of cross-infection. Okay. That is why we are putting on gloves. So I get my dressing. Examine the wound kabisa so that you can see if there are any embedded objects or anything. And if there's a point of exit, also you need to apply direct pressure, because a gunshot wound may have a point of exit, which is also severely bleeding. So keep it, apply pressure. So nachukua tu hii dressing yangu, naifungua. There's a pad on my dressing. This pad helps to absorb and control bleeding. So toa. Nakuja naiwekelea hapo. Then hold on to this. And then I apply pressure using the roller bandage that is stuck to my dressing there. So you apply direct pressure there as you roll it around. Make sure that you cover the whole wound. Wherever there is bleeding, make sure that you cover the whole wound vizuri. And roller bandage yote, it is important. This what I'm rolling, it is important because it helps to cover the wound completely. And then I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to tie a knot there. This helps now to apply pressure. So since this hand needs to keep elevated, what I can't leave him to hold it by himself. So I need to support it. What I'm going to support it with is a sling. So I'm going to place his hand across his chest, support the elbow. I get a sling, a triangular bandage, which I'm going to make a sling with. Now you can make a sling with any piece of cloth that you may have, that you can shape into a triangular bandage. Sasa, large piece of cloth, kama leso, ama kitu kama hiyo. So you have even a scarf. You can even use, the point is just to make a sling. Okay. So as long as you can use a sweater, even a shirt, a t-shirt, you tie it across the casualty's chest like that. And then hii sasa unaitakin hapa under, toa mkono, tuck it in, ashikilia. Alafu you bring it behind and tie the knot near the casualty's neck like that. So hii tukishaifunga hapo, hapa sasa tunakuja tunafanya nini? Tunaisecure. Just secure it vizuri. Tunaifunga hivyo. Sasa. So usually With the fingers, nitamwambia hebu nitoe kidole. What I want to see with the fingers is whether blood is still flowing or it is too tight. If it is too tight, sometimes you may need to do what? You may need to loosen it kidogo. Because you don't want to cut off blood flow kabisa. So, there you have it. Here is my elevated sling, and then I take him to the medical center or medical facility that may handle now the gunshot wound beyond this. So, there is also a moment where there would be severe bleeding that we'll show you as we continue.
Okay. I have a question. Maybe what do you do in the case where you don't have the goods?
You don't have a first aid kit. You may have a scarf with you, a handkerchief with you. The point we are trying to emphasize is apply direct pressure on the wound. If you're able to keep it elevated, keep it elevated. That is it.
So you use any clean
cloth. So, as you apply direct pressure on the wound. The point is to control bleeding. Blood should stay in the inside.
So what if they are bleeding excessively? What do you do?
Now, if they're bleeding excessively, especially kama ni kwa mkono and maybe kwa mguu, and you've tried using, as I've told you, the clean cloth to apply pressure, damu tu inatoka mingi. Probably now there is a major blood vessel that has been affected. Now, if the wound is on the arm or the leg, there is something we call a tourniquet that you can use. That we are going to tie just above the joint, which is now the elbow here. Sasa, the tourniquet, the point of the tourniquet is to cut off blood flow. Ushaenda hosi, wakataka kukudunga sindano. Wanafanyaga nini? So wanakufungaga hapa hivi so that mishipa itoke. Si ndio? So it is something similar to whatever that they tie there, so that the veins can pop. So here I can use my belt. I can use my belt. Acha nitoe tu belt yangu tu hapa. Haraka. I can use my belt. Alafu nikuje niifunge hapa hivi. And I make can I say a makeshift tourniquet. Like that. I cut off kabisa, ni ikate. Unasikia, unaona bila ananiangalia na anasikia uchungu.
The boys.
So hiyo vile anasikia uchungu, that's a good thing because it means now it is working. And then once you see the bleeding stop like that, so you need to tie this off here. So you just tie it off, and this you're not going to remove until you get to the hospital.
Oh, okay. So you cut blood flow completely.
You cut off blood flow completely. That is if the injury is on the arm or the leg.
And they're excessively bleeding.
And they're excessively bleeding. Umejaribu hii haifanyi. So as a last resort, you can try to tie a tourniquet.
I mean, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So open the airway.
Okay. He's breathing, but he's unconscious. What do you do in that case?
So in this scenario, because we witnessed him collapse because of probably he's in an environment where there is poor oxygen, or he has he's fatigued, he hasn't eaten and such, we are going to conclude that he's fainted. Now, fainting on its own is not a very serious condition, and he should be able to regain consciousness within a matter of a very few minutes. So what we're going to do, I've seen that you've already checked his breathing, you've opened his airway and you've checked whether he's breathing, and you've confirmed that he's breathing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check down the body to see if he has any other injuries, maybe bleeding as he fell. So I check if there is any serious bleeding. There is no serious bleeding. What I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen any tight clothing that he may have, restrictive clothing, belts, things like shoes. So unaona kama hizi viatu zake, alikuwa amevaa. Juu alikuwa amekuja job. So I open the zip hapo, naitoa. Remember, the idea is to do what? You're trying to improve circulation of blood back to the brain. Because I'm a faint kwa sababu there is shortage of blood in the brain. So hizo naziaka hivyo, alafu nainua miguu. So support, and I keep observing my casualty. He should regain consciousness within a few minutes.
Okay. Quick question: to what angle should I lift the legs?
We say at least 30 centimeters, which is 1 foot, or around 45-degree angle.
Okay, so I just keep confirming. Oh, do you have ameamka?
Ameamka. So tunaona ana regain consciousness haraka. So that is because blood sasa imeanza kuflow. So unamuongelesha, I mean, unanisikia? Yes. Unanisikia? Unasikiaje? Uko na any other symptoms zenye una feel? Sawa. So nataka kuweka mguu zako chini alafu tuone kama utaketi, sawa? Haya. Unamsaidia na keti. Na relax. Sawa. Unasikiaje? So nakutuma, maybe unatumana unaenda alete maji, alete soda, ongeze sukari.
Glucose.
Glucose, ongeze sukari.
Let's talk about tear gas. What are you supposed to do?
Now, tear gas is okay. The point of tear gas, is riot, crowd control and such, to disperse rowdy crowds and such things. That's what the police use to do that. So, and what it does is that it affects the intake of oxygen in your environment, because it affects the air in your environment. So, with that, you have a breathing problem. In first aid, our priorities of life are airway, breathing, and circulation. So when it comes to breathing problem, it is a priority of life. So you need to improve breathing to ensure that someone is breathing normally without struggle, without any problems. So if the environment that they're in, they're having difficulty in breathing, you need to move them from that environment. It's the same thing we tell asthma casualties and such. If a person is having trouble breathing, take them to an environment where they will find it easier breathing. So if it is that tear gas and it is sprayed at a particular area that you are in, move away from that area and go to an area where it is better oxygenated, where you can now breathe easier
comfortably,
and just basically get away from the danger. That's the point.
So
that
run away.
Just run away.
Okay.
Because people are usually tempted because umeona kwa TV, wacha tuinue tuirudishe. Just know that it is very risky. So it affects breathing and you can even collapse.
Okay, now as we are running away from the tear gas, we tend to find ourselves in like stampedes.
Yes.
What do we do in such a situation? What are we supposed to expect in that situation?
Now, when it comes to a stampede, there are things that are usually beyond your control. In such a scenario, there are things that you can't really control. So what you need to think about is try and keep yourself on your feet. Don't fall to the ground, basically. That's your main objective. Don't fall to the ground. So always make sure that you're on your feet and move away from, if you're able to, move away from the crowd. Move away from the crowd. If people are running in a particular direction, yes, you may be moving in the similar direction, but try and move away from the crowd.
So if people are going like this, you can go like this.
Yes, maybe diagonally in the same direction. Yes, don't try to move now in an opposite direction, because that is a recipe for you falling and for people now injuring you even further. So just try and move away from the crowd and move out to a place that may be safe for you. And it's usually a good idea as as just a human being, when you're out on the street, even not just in protest and such things, always be aware of your surroundings. Squeeze, naonaga watu wamevaa earphones, wanatembea kwa streets, you don't even know what is going on around you. It's important that you know what is going on around you and points of safety. If I go there, I am safe. I'll be a bit safe, even if it is not for a long term, you will be safe in that area. So look for a point where you can be safe. If you do get injured, it's important that you try and get help from anyone. And that is why tunasemaga as you're training maybe disaster preparedness and even things like search and rescue and such, people are usually told about using a buddy system. don't walk around by yourself.
By yourself. You
Yes.
have to work.
You need to have a partner, you need to have people around you, so that in case someone gets injured, there is someone else who is able to do what? Who is able to assist.
Mine is just to echo what Mwalimu has said. Now you know what to do in the case of a stampede, tear gas explosion, gunshot wound, or even fainting. See you here next week on the Health Hub. I am your host, Ruby Winani.